Hey there, YouTubers. Recording a couple of videos today, but I'm going to do a quick one here on safety and security, specifically about some firearms. This comes up regularly. I've had some people ask me lately what I think about firearms and this and that, and so I'm just going to do a brief video here. The first thing is somebody asked me what I would recommend. They want to get into prepping, and they understand that there is a security component of prepping, and there is. And what they wanted from me was a recommendation on what they should buy. And they've been watching YouTube clips, and guys are having these awesome big, AR-15s with all the accessories and stuff on them. And they asked specifically if that's what I thought they should get, and I said no. There are really kind of three guns that are out there, and actually there's, I guess, four. There's the shotgun as well, and I don't have a shotgun here. The one I would recommend is specifically the Ruger 1022, but any 22 caliber rifle, if you're just going to have one, have this. It is a reasonably effective self-defense weapon. It's easy to handle. There's low recoil. Women can handle it. Older kids can handle it. It's an excellent gun. They don't jam. They're fairly effective. You can take game with them. A lot of deer have been killed with a 1022. Squirrel, rabbit, small game. I mean, even, I guess, modest big game with a talented hunter. If there's a one-stop shop, it really is the 22 caliber rifle, automatic 22. And again, I'm recommending the 1022 just because it probably has the most accessories available to it. The most parts, the most magazines. It's probably the one that people are most familiar with. You barely have to clean it. As far as this goes, the 1022 can't really be beat. Now, after that, something that is strictly self-defense is the handgun. The handgun is probably the least powerful, least effective of any self-defense weapon, but it does one thing very, very well. You can handle it with one hand, you can aim it with reasonable accuracy for close distances, and you can manage a threat that is very close to you. Which, to be quite honest, a threat to you is really only somebody that's very close to you. Somebody that's 100 yards away may not be a threat yet. You've got a lot of good reason to consider that that person's a threat. I should say you need a very good reason to consider somebody 100 yards away a threat. They're probably not, and you probably shouldn't be shooting at them. I mean, in most cases, if they're 100 yards away, you can run away. I mean, that is your obligation. Your obligation is to retreat and to only use self-defense when absolutely necessary. He asked me about what kind of pistol I'd recommend. This is an FN, or this is an FNX. I happen to like this. Any of the new polymer guns typically are great, whether it's a Springfield or a Glock. For new shooters, I don't recommend some of the single action 1911s and things like that. Some of the guns that really take a more experienced shooter to really have any kind of mastery of. But again, the FN in this case, because I'm left-handed, or the Glock, or the Springfield, or the H&K, and you can go down the list of really excellent guns. They're all good. You can't really lose on that. If I had to pick a caliber, I'd pick 9mm. I have friends and family that are adamant you should have a 45. It's all over the place. It's personal preference. I say 9mm because it's the most common round. There's a lot of it out there. You can carry a lot of it with you. And if you do have to take the pistol and give it to your wife, or maybe give it to an older child, they can manage a 9mm a lot more than they're probably going to be able to manage a 45. Last thing I really want to talk about is the AR. Now, I'm a big fan of the platform. You can get them, they can be very expensive, or you can get them very reasonably priced. And to be honest, there isn't a big difference between the expensive ones and the reasonably priced ones. If I had to build this one today, I built this a couple of years ago. If I had to build this today, I'd probably get it optic and all under $1,000. It's a good rifle. There are guys out there that have $3,500, $4,000 rifles. This is every bit as good as those. Don't think that you have to spend a ton of money. For the most part, if you're in a self-defense scenario, I recommend putting a white light on it. Now, if you were going to go out and be hunting bad guys or something, maybe not necessarily. I wouldn't necessarily have a white light on it. But in any scenario where there's a self-defense component, if you can't see it, you shouldn't be shooting it. So white lights are very important for you to acquire your target and know what it is that you're shooting before you do. What I don't have here is I don't have a shotgun, and I'm a big fan. Shotguns, there's been a revolution in shotguns between 20 years ago and today. I mean, 20 years ago you had basically your grandpa's shotgun, you had the bird gun, and then you'd put slugs in it and hunt deer with it. And you'd go out and you'd hunt turkeys with it, and pheasant, and whatever. It was your field gun, it was everything. Today, much, much different. There's a lot of variation, there's a lot of specialization. Shotguns have come a long way. You can go out and pick up a turkey gun and pick up a duck gun. They're very different guns. Slug guns, very different guns. I mean, the slug guns that are available today are basically really rocking huge rifles. They're amazingly accurate, easy to shoot, but there's a lot of variation. There's also a lot of tactical shotguns that you can get very reasonably priced. When I talk shotguns with my friend, he was asking automatics. He'd been seeing Benelli's online, and these were $1,200, $1,400 gas guns, and very cool stuff. I don't really recommend that. Again, everything's up to personal preference. I would say get a pump gun. Doesn't matter what you put in it; it's going to shoot it just fine. You don't have even the same round in it. It gives you a ton of options. They're basically foolproof. They're cheap. You can go out and get a Mossberg for under $400. That's good. If you want to spend $500 or $600, you can get an excellent shotgun. There's a lot of availability for lefties. It's probably a good way to go. Again, very briefly, if you could only have one gun as a prepper gun, I'm going to tell you, get the Ruger 10/22 or get a 22 long rifle, preferably magazine fed. Doesn't have to be. The top loaders are fun. They're the barrel loaders. There's a lot of options out there. Lever action 22s. The only thing I'd probably steer a little bit clear of are the AR-15 22s. I've never really used one. I don't have a lot of confidence in them. Maybe that'll change. Maybe I'll get one and it'll be different. But as a training tool, that's probably a good way to go. As far as being a kind of a shit hits the fan kind of tool, I'm not sure how accurate those are. I just have some questions about them, so I'm not quite there yet. Anyway, thank you very much. Really appreciate you watching, and I hope we can get some comments. This is a topic that a lot of people have opinions on, so I'd like to know what they are. Hey, thank you very much. Have a good day.